Hey buddy, welcome back to the series, or indeed, if this is your first time viewing the series, welcome along. My name is Andy, your uncommentator for episode number 25 of this Extreme Warfare Revenge playthrough, where I'm booking a year's worth of shows for PWG. Now, at the end of the last video, we became a national-sized company, which is great news. So as you can see there, we're now the fourth biggest wrestling promotion in North America. So we moved up from our cult status, cult standing, whatever you want to call it. So only WWE, New Japan, Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor are currently a bigger wrestling promotion than Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. So it's going great guns so far. Now I did say as well at the end of the last video that any sort of the quote-unquote admin work that needs to be done when you become a bigger promotion, I will do that without recording it and then pick it up again here and just explain to you what I've done. Now it turns out that I didn't do too much. I was going to hire a couple of new wrestlers, but given the fact I've got the booking sort of set all the way up until the end of the month, I didn't really see any point because I didn't want to change any of the booking plans. So I've not done that. Also, well, actually, it'd be easy to say what I have done. So let's just quickly go into here. So the first thing I did, I checked if we could get any new sponsors. Unfortunately, we can't at the moment. Well, we can, but then they don't pay any more than any of these. So at the minute, Google at 400, other search engines are of course available. Google are our highest paying sponsor at $400,000 a month. I am 100% convinced that that will go up. We just maybe need to do a couple of shows as national or one. I don't know. But anyway, either way, we'll be able to get better sponsors very, very soon. One thing I haven't done, though, which I'm going to do now, is increase the production. So you may recall Sophie, our glamorous assistant, told us that we need a production of at least 65%. I'm going to move it up to 75% for a reason which I will explain at the end of the video. Now, thankfully, you can increase production, at any time throughout the month. You can also change the risk at any time. But for some reason, you can't do merchandising or advertising. You have to do that at the start of the month, as it says there. Not quite sure why. We're not going to open a training camp, even though that's something else that Sophie suggested we should do. So the other thing I've done is I have overhauled. That's maybe a bit strong. I've changed the staff. We've hired some new staff, so I'll just very, very quickly go through that. So we're sticking with Dino Winwood. So just as the announcers, so just before I carry on, at the minute, let me start again. The last time, when we were a cult promotion, we'll get there in the end. When we were a cult promotion, the most talent we could hire is anyone up to 75. So anyone over 75 we couldn't hire. Now we're a national promotion, we could hire staff of talent up to 90. So there were two announcers that we couldn't hire before that we can now, but I didn't want either of them. So we'll stick with Dino for now on the mic. Also, I don't like just hiring a load of new staff. I mean, you've kind of got to some extent, but I don't like just becoming a bigger promotion then getting rid of all the staff and bringing new ones in. But anywho, that's just me. Despite that, though, we did hire one new referee, and that is Drake Wirtz, something like that. We've still got Mark Johnson, and we've still got Mio Shirai, even though she's not particularly talented in comparison to some of the others we could get, but we'll keep her around. It keeps her sister happy. If nothing else, I mean it doesn't, but it sounds good in my mind. But there's actually another reason why I'm keeping her around, but which again I'll get into later. And if I could think of a Drake joke, I would have done one at that point, but it would take me forever to think of one. So we'll move on. So production. So I've hired Ms. Caruso. So we're going back to the glory days, pun intended, of WWE backstage interviewers when it was Kayla Braxton on SmackDown, Charlie Caruso on Raw. Now, incidentally, even if you're a global promotion, you only need one production person. Sophie never tells you to hire more production, but I thought two would be good. You know, one can do in-ring announcing, the other can do interviewing. So Charlie could probably be the better of the two at in-ring. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we brought her in. Two new doctors. So we've stuck with Becky Givens. We've brought in somebody called Karen Johnston. And we've brought in Lloyd Youngblood. I believe Lloyd Youngblood, in real life, actually operated on Kurt Angle when he broke his neck in 2003. And I think he also operated on Chris Benoit as well. But he probably omits that from his CV now, I would have thought. But yeah, anyway. Lloyd Youngblood to come in, along with Karen Johnston. 2 new writers as well, so we've got rid of Vince Russo. Yep, so the PWG flag is now flying at half-mast. Vince Russo has gone, and we've replaced him we've brought in Dutch Mantel, who was told he's 18, he only wants $11,000, which is nice. And we've also brought in a guy called Joseph Bel Castro. So we've got Bel and Bel Castro, who's the evolved form of Chris Bell. And then last but not least, I've changed the road agent. So I got rid of Mike Busey, who wrestled as Simon Dean, amongst other aliases. I'm sure, and I can't think of what they were off the top of my head. Was he in ECW? I don't know. Anyway, that's not important. We've replaced him with Jamie Noble, which is important. So James Gibson, as he was known, that was his real name actually, I don't know. Anyway, Jamie Noble's come in to join the team of Jerry Oates, Ric Flair and Sonjay Dutt. And that's all we've done. There's all the changes that we have made since becoming national. So in this video, we're going to do the usual. We're going to be booking 2 shows. So it's the go-home show for Battle of Los Angeles, and then it's the pay-per-view itself. And then I may just do a little bit extra at the end, a little bit more admin work before we move into October. But again, worry about that when we get there. And the only way we are going to get there is if I crack on with it. So let's do just that. Okay. Joe Angelo's been released. What a shame. Chucky T's been released. Rhino's gone to Chikara, because of course he has. Is he working for anybody else at the minute, Rhino? I don't think he is. I think he's unemployed. So I think I was going to... Yeah, I was thinking of hiring him. I was thinking of hiring him and Heath Slater for the tag division, but opted for the Rock and Roll Express instead, because why not? I think as well Chikara in the last video became a cult promotion. Possibly. And lots of people watch Raw and tuned in on TV, but we don't care about that. Oh, the same for SmackDown. So, get to Thursday when our episode of Warfare is here. Don't care about Ring of Honor, don't care about NXT. Okay, so if you are new to the series, or if you just want a quick refresher, just a quick recap of where we got to at the end of the last video. So in the last video, we did the 2 episodes of Warfare, so we started the Battle of Los Angeles tournament, we cracked on with the Battle of Los Angeles tournament. So yeah, just a quick recap of where we were up to. So Mick Foley is challenging Congo Kong for his world title. We've got the Battle of Los Angeles tournament, as I said. So Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic drew in their 2nd round match, so they're going to have a rematch on this episode of Warfare. We built towards Brian Cage and Cedric Alexander. Real One / Enzo Amore was revealed as the big star that got a bye into the next round. He then beat Bandido by cheating to move on to the semi-finals. So he's already in the semi-finals, which are going to take place at the pay-per-view. The Powers of Pain kept their jobs. So the members of the Glory Days trying to keep their jobs by winning matches. So Papa Shango and Kevin Sullivan lost their match, so they're gone. Mick Foley kept his job by winning his match, and the Powers of Pain beat the Rock and Roll Express, so they kept their jobs as well. And then we set up a women's title match. It's Mickie James defending against Io Shirai. So that's where we're up to. Now let's book the go-home show, which hopefully is going to be a little bit exciting, a little bit chaotic as well, maybe. So we're going to kick things off with the big rematch. I don't know why I keep booking this match, because even though it's great in real life, it always seems to let me down, I think, on here. But we'll stick with it for now. Yet another Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic match. This time, so Keith Lee will win this time, so he's going to move through to the semi-finals. And he wins cleanly, with no aftermath, and that's to build to a future match. So again, this real, what would happen here is the match would end, and then on the screen would appear Real One. Now he wouldn't do it wouldn't be an interview, it'd just be a promo at Keith Lee, where he just basically mock him and say, we'll go verbal attack actually. He just basically mock him and say, hey, you finally managed to win then. I've sailed through this tournament so far easily. Obviously, playing off the fact that, obviously getting heel heat, playing off the fact that he got a bye into the next round, so kind of putting over his entitled entitled and obnoxious idiot. And the only prize you've won is an ass kicking at the hands of the real one. And I don't know what his catchphrase would be. I mean, maybe starts each interview with "Let me keep it real with you" or something like that. Something like that, but better, hopefully. But yeah, so he basically slags Keith Lee off. Maybe have Dijakovic attack Keith Lee from behind as well while this is happening, but possibly not. That last bit, but yeah, so that's that semi-final match set up, and now the last member of the Glory Days is going to try and keep his job, and it's going to be Rick Steiner taking on Octagon. Now, I did say, for those of you that really are paying attention, I did say that none of the Glory Days members would be facing anyone in the Battle of Los Angeles tournament to try and save their job. However, I'm going to get round that with this one by saying that even though Octagon was in the tournament, he wasn't a contracted PWG wrestler at the time. Now he is a contracted PWG wrestler. So in storyline he wasn't. In reality, in non-storyline he was. But in reality, in storyline even, he wasn't contracted. Excalibur sent him to a contract, and now this is his first match to decide if Rick Steiner's going to keep his job. In my mind, that works. But Rick Steiner isn't going to keep his job because Octagon is going to win. This match is probably going to suck, but hey ho. And I'm sorry, JTG. I was gonna give it JTG, but Crime Time did the Papa Shango and Kevin Sullivan match, so I wanted to use somebody different. Didn't want to use anybody twice. No real purpose to that. Now, if keeping Rick Steiner around would meant I could sign his son, then Rick Steiner would be winning that match because Bron Breakker. Actually, I think Bron Breakker's great. Although I don't actually think he's on this game because even though I'm playing it in 2024, it is a 2019 database. So I am playing with an old database. But yeah, if Bron Breakker was on this game and keeping Rick Steiner around meant I could sign him, then yeah, Rick Steiner would be winning because Bron Breakker's great. Although the only downside to Bron Breakker, which is not really his fault, is, and can somebody please explain this to me in the comments? Why do grown men like making dog noises? I know it's not just Bron Breakker. It's Brody King actually does it. I don't think Bron Breakker really makes dog noises. I can't remember him ever doing it, but people in the crowd do. And I don't. What's the appeal as a grown man of making a dog noise? Somebody really does need to explain. So if somebody can explain that to me, that'd be great. I'm happy to be educated because I don't see the appeal of it. But anyway, that's by the by. Let's move on, and let's move on to another second round match in this tournament. And I was in two minds whether to do this, but we are going to do it. So it's going to be Eli Drake taking on Go Shiazaki. So Eli Drake beat Josh Barnett in the first round. I think Go Shiazaki beat Timothy Thatcher, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. However, there's going to be no winner of this match because it's going to be a draw. And it's going to be a time limit draw. Now, I wasn't sure whether to do two draws, sort of back to back. But, so no, Aftermath are just going to stand there looking confused when the bell rings. And that's to build up to a future match. So this is going to be two segments in. This is going to be one long segment booked as two segments. Because they're going to have a rematch. Well, they're not going to have a rematch straight. Let me just get this booking done, and then I'll explain what would happen here were this to be real. So So I need to book this again. And this time, Eli Drake is going to win cleanly. And then because they're both babyfaces and they've just gone to war with each other, they can have a hearty handshake. And that's, of course, to build up to a future match. Yeah, so what would happen here is, so they go to a time limit draw. So I established in an earlier video that there's time limits to each round. So in round 1, it was a 15-minute time limit per match. Round 2, which they're in now, 20 minutes. Round 3, 30 minutes, and the final is a 1-hour time limit. So they go to a time limit draw. The bell would go, they look round confused, the fans would maybe boo, hopefully chant 5 more minutes because it's been a good match, and then Excalibur would stand up from the announce desk and say, yep, we can't have this match and there's a draw, and we're not going to do a rematch. We want to know the semi-finals before the pay-per-view, so we're not going to do a rematch at the pay-per-view. So yeah, let's just keep it, stay in the ring, go 5 more minutes, and let's get a winner. And then they go 5 more minutes, Eli Drake can win, blah, 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 blah. So that sets up his semi-final match. So he's in the semi-finals, and he'll face the winner of Brian Cage and Cedric Alexander, which is taking place in the main event. So a bit of a spoiler as to what's to come. However, this next segment, this was, yeah, I was in 2 minds whether to do this, but you know what? It's not real. I keep saying if this were real. I've tried to make this as real as possible, but it's not real, and this next segment is going to be evidence of that. So, it's going to be an angle. It's going to be a debut angle. And it's going to be as an ally. No, it isn't. It's going to be... Here we go. Make save from a 2-on-1. So let me just explain what would happen here. Let me just book it first. So the debut is going to be of... And I think I have alluded to this, but I've decided to do it. It's going to be Hulk Hogan. So Hulk Hogan is going to debut, and he's going to save Orange Cassidy from an attack from Kevin Nash. So Kevin Nash has returned. And it's another debut. No prizes for guessing who. It's Scott Hall, everybody. So what would happen here is... Well, let's start from the beginning. So at the start of the Battle of Los Angeles tournament, Orange Cassidy was... well, the last event, actually, before that, the last City of Devils, Orange Cassidy lost to Josh Barnett because Kevin Nash interfered. Kevin Nash was on commentary. He was guest commentator because Excalibur was wrestling. Then Kevin Nash, cost Orange Cassidy his Battle of Los Angeles match against... who was it against? I can't remember now. My mind's total... Oh, Dijakovic, that was it. My mind totally went blank now. Yeah, Dominic Dijakovic. And then Kevin Nash beat him up after. So that wrote Orange Cassidy off TV for a few weeks. So what I'm here is Orange Cassidy would come out. The go-home show, maybe tape round his ribs, selling the power bombs that he took from Kevin Nash. He'd call Kevin Nash out for a one-on-one match. Kevin Nash would come out and laugh. He'd say, well, I've already beaten you once, which he has. They wrestled before at, I think it was All-Star Weekend. I can't remember. But Kevin Nash beat Orange Cassidy anyway when they wrestled last time. So Kevin Nash comes out, he laughs, he just says, you know, I'm not wasting my time on you. I'm not wasting my time on you. I'm not facing you again. I've already beaten you once. And then, you know, but I know a guy who would fancy taking a bite out of the orange or something clever than that. And then Scott Hall would attack Orange Cassidy from behind. He could walk through the crowd like he did for WCW debut. He could come down walk through the crowd, get into the ring. Fans would annoyingly chant "Holy you know what." But anyway, Scott Hall beats Orange Cassidy up. Kevin Nash limps to the ring, shall we say, and joins in the beatdown. So it's a 2-on-1 on Orange Cassidy, and then fans being fans, they'll look at the entrance ramp because they know somebody's going to come out and save Orange Cassidy. And that's when Hulk Hogan's music hits. So Orange Cassidy saved by the Orange Man. Hulk Hogan runs out, fights up, helps Orange Cassidy fight the two off, and then Hulk Hogan will then basically challenge them to a tag team match, which Hall and Nash obviously accept. So that's to set up a tag team match at Battle of Los Angeles, and that's how it would go down. So a bit of a crazy segment, a bit of a fever dream, but like I said, it isn't real, and Hulk Hogan's retiring, so screw it, let's use him. Like we did Ric Flair when he announced his retirement. So on to something a bit more serious. So we're going to do the old trope that happens in wrestling when somebody's part of a stable and then somebody lower down than them, a minion of them in the stable, then fights somebody that's going for a championship. So a bit like Randy Orton did when he faced Ludwig Kaiser in real life. I think that happened, yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. But this time the roles are slightly reversed. So it's going to be Kairi Sane, part of the stable, and she's going to take on Mickie James. So this time, like the Orton example which I've just given, Mickie James is the champion rather than the challenger, but you get the idea. It's happened loads of times, there's countless examples of it. I was a bit reluctant to do this finish, but I'm going to do it, and there is a reason for that. So Mickie James is going to win, but she's going to win by DQ because Io Shirai is going to run in. So this is basically an angle disguised as a match. So Mickie James, so the match wouldn't go very long. Io Shirai runs in to beat the champion up, ready for the title match coming up. But Deonna Purrazzo will run in for the save. Yeah, I didn't know where to do 2 DQ finishers. Because the last time, so we did a couple of shows ago, we did Mickie James and Deonna against Kairi and Io in a tag team match. And I booked that as a DQ finish as well. In fact, I think these are the only 2 DQ finishes I booked. There's probably the odd one somewhere that I'm forgetting, but I don't do DQ finishes very often. It's not intentional, I just never think to really do them. But I feel like I've not done... No, I must have done others, actually. That's wrong. I must have done others, but there's not been many. Anyway, there's a reason for this, which we'll get to shortly. So, next up... In fact, that's the first women's segment, isn't it? I know there was a hype video for Barbie Hayden. Ignore that. Edit that out. Right, so next up, we're going to have an interview, and it's going to be with Tennille Dashwood, who's just going to randomly reappear. She seems to have disappeared for a bit, but she's back now. And she's going to talk about how great she is, so she'll just be interviewed by the lovely Kayla, who'll say things like, well, you know, I've been taking care of myself, I've been looking after number 1. I'm not interested in who wins the title, because eventually I'll win it. I'm not interested in Barbie Hayden, who the hell even is she, blah, blah, blah. So just talking about how great she is. Right then, 2 segments to go, so let's build up to our world title. So it's going to be... I was going to do a blood attack, but we'll save that. We're going to do a table attack, so it's going to be the same, similar to what Mick Foley did when he attacked Excalibur. Only this time, only that was the announce table, so this time it'll be slightly different. So Congo Kong is going to try and beat up Mick Foley, but Mick Foley's going to turn the tables, pun intended. And Congo Kong's going to be the one ending up eating the wood. So again, that's just to sell the fact that Mick Foley could actually win the world title. Because obviously we need fans to believe that he could. And he may do. He may do. Stay tuned in to find out. Right, just main event time. So the last second round match of the Battle of Los Angeles. So it's Brian Cage versus the returning Cedric Alexander. So Cedric made a hero's return to PWG, beating Mark Haskins, and now his reward is a second round match with Brian Cage. And I'm sorry, Cedric, but the dream dies here. Brian Cage wins, and he wins cleanly, because we need to make him look strong. So no aftermath, just to build to the match with Eli Drake. In fact, maybe Eli Drake could walk on stage and just have a stare down. I don't know. Anyway, that's the go home show. So we'll see how Hulk Hogan gets on with Orange Cassidy. Let's go. Cool, 76%. So that was actually better than I thought it was going to be. So we'll take that. That's fine. Good. That's good. I thought it might get a bit of bonus, actually. But yeah, I mean, Real One's charisma is really, really high. It's like I think it's like 92. Other than The Rock and Steve Austin, I can't think of anybody else on the game that's got higher charisma than Real One. It's higher than Eli Drake's, and it's actually the same. It's the same as Hulk Hogan's. I thought Hulk Hogan's was like 95, but Hulk Hogan's is also 92. So yeah, Real One is very charismatic. I'll have a check. If I remember, I'll have a check. See who's more charismatic than him. But yeah, not many. Well, that was a way better match than I was expecting, so that's good. And that's the end of Rick Steiner now. Good. I was hoping that was going to happen before this, so that's encouraging. Actually, that doesn't look like a 20-minute draw. I think more things would have happened, but hey ho. Good match though. I intentionally put these two together because their stats look quite similar, so I was expecting a good match, and I wasn't disappointed. So that's good. That's also good. In fact, that's excellent. I was hoping Orange Cassidy might get a bit more over this because he's the young guy, and the other three aren't going to be around for long. But yeah, we'll take that. Yep, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's fine. And that's also fine. Shame about Cedric losing overness, but it doesn't really matter. Brian Cage gaining overness is important. 72%. Well, let's say that was better than I thought it was going to be. So that's good. In fact, is that the best show we've ever done? It is. Hopefully, Battle of Los Angeles can usurp it. We'll see how this tag match goes. Before we... I think it's going to be good. I've got high hopes for it. Cool. You don't say, Jerry. I was hoping you would say that. That's why I put them together. To be honest with you, I've got a spreadsheet. I've got a spread. This is how in depth I've taken it. I've got a spreadsheet of the. Apologies, I've already said this. Of the Battle of Los Angeles tournament, so it's all planned out. Who's facing who's winning, how they're winning, what dates the matches are taking place on. It's a bit sad, really, but yeah, I plotted that out intentionally. So those two put those two together intentionally. I think tournaments are opportunities to put matches together that you maybe wouldn't normally book. So two baby faces, one of which is half of a tag team. You wouldn't normally book that. So anyway, we've made it now. So we're now up to the Battle of Los Angeles pay-per-view. So let's quickly run down the card before we book it. So we've got the tournament semi-finals. Eli Drake, excuse me, battling Hiccups. No, Eli Drake's not taking on Hiccups like I am. It's Eli Drake taking on Brian Cage. The other semi-final, Keith Lee against Real One. We've got Orange Cassidy and Hulk Hogan against Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, because of course we have. Why would you not have that match? We've got Io Shirai challenging for the women's title against Mickie James. We've got Mick Foley challenging Congo Kong for the world title in a no-holds-barred match. And we've got the Battle of Los Angeles tournament finals. The winner of Eli Drake and Brian Cage taking on the winner of Keith Lee and Real One. So that is what we've got coming up. So, yeah, just to double down, Hulk Hogan retired 1 month. Had to do it. I had to do it. Had to use him. Because why not? I'm just glad we're national, because it means we can bring in somebody like that. Although I think we're going to sign him at cult level. But anyway, he's here now. He's ready to do his bit. Right then, Battle of Los Angeles. So let's start with the pre-show, and it's going to be an angle. It's going to be a 2-on-2 angle. And it's going to be running failed partner save. So it's going to be Eli Drake running in to save Keith Lee from Real One and Brian Cage. So what would happen in this segment is Real One, so you'd see Brian Cage backstage and be doing some kind of crazy feat of strength. So like, do you remember? I can't remember when it was. I think it was 2002. I don't know if it was before he faced The Rock at SummerSlam or the Undertaker feud, but I remember maybe before this actually, not like after he debuted. But anyway, I remember a segment with Brock Lesnar, and he was stood backstage and he was curling one of those, you know, the old Backlash set with those swinging hooks. So a little part of that set, the little kind of that style of like scaffolding, he was curling one of those. It looked absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, Brian Cage would be doing something like that. Real One would come over to him and say, "Hey, you know, why don't we? I've just seen Keith Lee around the corridor. Why don't we go and beat him up? You know, that'll make our jobs easier. Both our jobs easier later tonight. You know, I'll beat him up, and when you beat Eli Drake, it'll be me and you in the final. And you know, Brian Cage says, you know, just leave me alone. And wants nothing to do with it. Then Real One insults him. Brian Cage like goes into his face and hey, you know, calm down, buddy. Think with your brain, not with your muscles. You know, come on, let's go and beat Eli Drake. Let's go and beat Keith Lee up. And you know, but anyway, basically talks Brian Cage round. They go and beat Keith Lee. Eli Drake sees this. He runs in to try and save him because he's a babyface, and then he gets beaten up as well. So that's what would happen there. So again, just adding more peril to the babyfaces in preparation for the tournament semi-finals, which are about to start now. So first match is gonna be, it's gonna be Real One versus Keith Lee. So you could kind of have one segment all blended into one here, which I like to do, or I think would look good. So Real One, yeah, after that attack, Real One comes out. Maybe cuts a bit of a promo on Keith Lee saying, you know, hey, you know, are you actually going to make it to the ring? You know, referees start counting. So the referee starts counting. And then Keith Lee, at 6, Keith Lee's music hits or something and he makes it to the ring. Or, he obviously stops counting when his music hits. So Real One versus Keith Lee. And you'll all be gutted to know that Real One's run ends here. So Keith Lee is going to beat him. And I was in... Right, okay, so I'm going to do something here that I don't really want to do, but I've got to do it to tell the story. So it's going to be Keith Lee by botched interference from Dominik Dijakovic. But in reality, what would happen here is Dijakovic would come out to interfere, but he wouldn't actually, like, cost Real One the match. So basically, he'd come out to interfere, Keith Lee would fight both off and he'd pin him, and he'd pin Real One cleanly. But then it gives Real One a get out. It gives him an excuse, like, as if to say, well, you know, if Dominik Dijakovic hadn't have ran out, I'd have won that match and I'd have won the tournament. Even though in reality, I mean, that's for further down the line, obviously, but even though in reality, Dijakovic didn't actually cost him anything. He just tried to help him and failed, and Keith Lee overcame the odds. Of course, we're sticking with the old... but actually, no, we're getting a bit of heat back. They can both beat Keith Lee up after the match. We're sticking with the old Roman Reigns way of booking Keith Lee, only hopefully people actually like this one. Keep piling on the... keep putting obstacles ahead of Keith Lee that he's got to overcome. So he's had to do a... So he's had to do a rematch. So hopefully each member of this semi-finals had their own story. Leading up to the semi-finals. They've all been on their own path, if that makes any sense. Let's just get the second semi-final book. So the next match would be the second semi-final. So it's Eli Drake versus Brian Cage. Let's put Brian Cage out first. So Brian Cage versus Eli Drake. And Keith Lee's opponent in the final is going to be Brian Cage. So Brian Cage up to this point has won fairly cleanly and decisively. However, on this occasion, he is going to cheat. So no interference, no shenanigans, but he's gonna do... Well, I say shenanigans, I suppose they are shenanigans. He's going to cheat. So he'll hit him in the ankle with a chair or something like that. I don't know. He'll do something. To win. So we'll keep the... So he wins by cheat. So yeah, as I was saying, each member of this semi-final sort of had their own story. So Keith Lee, again, stacking odds in front of him. He's had to do a rematch with Dominik Dijakovic, who was more interested in Keith Lee not winning than Dijakovic himself winning. That's kind of the story I was trying to tell by having the double count out and by having him try to interfere here. Then you've got Real One, who's of course is an entitled and delusional idiot. So he got a bye to the next round. He then beat Bandito, but he did it by cheating. So he's had an easier path. You've got Brian Cage, who's been booked as an unstoppable monster up to this point. And then you've got Eli Drake, who again sort of stacking the deck against him a little bit. So he went to that time limit draw. He's still selling the ankle injury from the Congo Kong feud. So again, I think that... I don't know what I said. So again twice. That was pun intended there. Anyway. So again, telling everybody... for the millionth time. Again, telling everybody, different story, different paths to get here, but hopefully it's culminated in a nice sort of finish. So we've got the finalists now, Keith Lee versus Brian Cage. And then moving on from that, we're going to do an interview. So it's going to be with Mick Foley. He may be more charismatic than Real One, actually. I will check that if I remember. So interview with Mick Foley. Obviously Congo Kong, and this is to hype the upcoming match, hype the main event, sell across the fact that there could be a new champion. He's going to roll back the years, he's not going to hold anything back, blah 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 blah. Okay, and then the fever dream, it's the tag team match. So it's going to be Kevin Nash and Scott Hall taking on Orange Cassidy, and Hulk Hogan. So the Outsiders versus the Orange Siders. The Orange, I don't know. Actually, Orange Cider, that sounds like a drink, doesn't it? Anyway, move on. Yeah, right. And the result is going to be Orange Cassidy pinning Kevin Nash. So ultimately, he gets his win back. Even though it's dressed up as a tag team, I want Orange Cassidy to pin Kevin Nash. So that draws a line under their. This draws a line under their feud that I outlined earlier. I outlined earlier in the video. Anyway, so Orange Cassidy wins cleanly, and then Cassidy and Hogan celebrate, and it's to put in a good match because why not? So that should be a fun little match. So what would happen again if this were real? What would happen in the aftermath is the heels would get vanquished. Cassidy and Hogan would shake hands. Hogan had endorsed, he'd get on the microphone, endorse Cassidy. Let me tell you something, brother. This guy's, great. Blah 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 blah. And then Hogan had announced that this is his last match and he's retiring. So it's a pay-per-view. Let's why not? Let's have something that fans wish they could have seen. So then hopefully they'll buy future pay-per-views to say, well, you didn't buy this pay-per-view and Hulk Hogan announced his retirement. So, buy future pay-per-views. You never know what could happen. Anyway, if this were real, you'd maybe advertise that, but I don't know. I think that could be fun. Right, now this next segment is going to be quite important, even though it's going to seem a bit throwaway. So it's going to be a ambush angle. This is going to be one of my segments merging into one thing here that I like to do. So 3-on-1 backstage ambush. So I'll do the booking and then I'll explain what's going on. So it's Asuka, Kairi, and Katrina beating up Deonna Purrazzo. So what would happen here is, so you'd see Deonna Purrazzo backstage, Asuka and Kairi would start beating her up. Then Katrina would slowly walk in with them with Io. Io wouldn't get involved. She'd just stand there in her entrance gear waiting for a match. Then Katrina would start verbally berating Deonna, saying things like, "Hey, we're doing this because we're sick of you interfering in our business." That's why I've been doing the DQ finishes, to kind of sell the fact that there's been a lot of interference in this feud, this Io and Mickie James feud. There's been other people getting involved. So they beat her up. Katrina would be saying, you're not getting involved in this title match. This is Io's night. She's going to win the title from Mickie, and we're going to make sure that you can't do anything to stop it. So they beat her up. As they're walking away, referees, maybe this is where Mio Shirai could come in handy. And this reminds me of something that I've been wanting to do and I can't do, but I think it would be cool if I could. So referees would stop. The referees are the road agents, maybe even both of them. So maybe Ric Flair or Jamie Noble, the new road agent. But let's go with Ric Flair. So Ric Flair as a road agent and stop them and say, look, I've had word from Excalibur. You're banned from ringside, basically. So he bans the Stunning Succuban. So Katrina, Kairi, and Asuka are banned from ringside. They said there's going to be no interference from any of the Stunning Succuban or Deonna Purrazzo. Even if I know you've beaten her up, but this match is going to be one-on-one. So you three are banned from ringside. And Katrina and Kairi are like, what? Katrina, Kairi, Asuka, they're annoyed. They're like, what the hell's going on? Blah blah blah. And again, you could have a little interaction with Mio and Io Shirai there, where Io, pie faces Io maybe pie faces a sister manager or something, or just to sell the fact that she's. Can I say this? Just to say this, sell that fact she's a bitch. I mean, Okada says it every week, so if he can get away with it, I can. So Io pie faces sister, and then it's one continuous shot of her walking to the ring and then walking out for a match. Now, as I was saying, that reminds me of something that I wish I could book, but I can't. With having Mio, I think it'd be really cool if I could somehow involve Mio into this storyline. She becomes a heel referee for Katrina sways it, so she's always refereeing Io's matches or something like that, or maybe even the other way around. you know, like she sticks to her principles and she won't be corrupted. I don't know. I think there's something you could do with that, but unfortunately, this game doesn't allow for such in-depth booking as to actually booking the referee. You can book a special guest referee, but you can only book, obviously, like actual wrestlers on the roster, not staff, to be the referees. Anyway, just a thought. There's plenty you could do with that, but unfortunately, we can't do it. What we can do, though, is book this women's title match. So, Io Shirai is challenging Mickie James for the women's title. And despite the fact Mickie James only just won the belt, she's had one successful title defense. We're going to book a new champion. I'm afraid Io is winning the belt. However, here's the twist. So, no interference. Katrina, Asuka, Kairi banned from ringside. However, she is going to win by interference, and it's going to be from a returning Mia Yim. So Mia Yim is going to turn heel. Mia Yim is going to turn heel on Mickie James and help Io win the title. So what would happen here is, like, they'd be having the match. Mia Yim's music wouldn't hit. So someone would running through the crowd. They'd have a hood up. They'd have a black hoodie on, so you wouldn't be able to see them, obviously. They'd attack Mickie James. So the referee would go down. The black hooded figure jumps over the barricade, attacks Mickie James. Obviously pauses. You know, who's this? What the hell's going on? Yeah, she attacks Mickie James and then pulls the hood down. It's revealed it's Mia Yim. Io pulls the, like, what the hell's going on? You know, the face everybody pulls when they kick out at 2, which is a bit weird in modern wrestling. Anyway, yeah, Io pulls the what the hell's going on face. Mia doesn't acknowledge Io too much. She just walks away. She's not joining the stunning succuban. So she makes that obvious by, like, ignoring Io, just walks away. Io's like, well, okay, well, just, you know, I'll just go up and hit the moonsault. Hits the moonsault. Referee magically wakes up, and then she wins the title. So that's that segment. So we've got a new champion. Right, so 2 matches to go. I was going to make this the main event, but we're not going to. So it's going to be the Battle of Los Angeles final as the semi-main. So it's going to be Brian Cage taking on Keith Lee. This should be a good match. This is a meat match. People seem to like that one, like they do. People seem to like meat as much as they do making dog noises. And the winner of the 2024 Battle of Los Angeles is going to be. Place your bets now. If you're watching this with friends, make a quick wager. Who's going to win? It's going to be Keith Lee. Keith Lee is the champion. So Keith Lee overcomes the odds, like Roman Reigns used to do. He overcomes the odds. He beats Brian Cage. Brian Cage's first defeat after looking fairly unstoppable, apart from the slightly dodgy way he beat Eli Drake. But it's just selling the fact he's willing to do whatever it takes to win as well. That's maybe something else that's selling. Keith Lee celebrates because he's happy he's won. And that's to build up to a title match for Keith Lee. So Keith Lee winning the Battle of Los Angeles gets himself a title match. But who will the champion be? Is it going to be Congo Kong or is it going to be Mick Foley? Their no holds barred match will tell us. I can't pick no holds barred, unfortunately, so we're going to pick. So we'll pick hardcore just to make sure there's weapons. I was going to do the blood attack on the Warfare episode when I did the table attack. I was going to pick the running failed blood attack, but I didn't want to give blood away for free because I would like to think that one of them had maybe, well, Foley had bleed in this match. So we're not going to give blood away for free because we're going to have it here. So it's Mick Foley challenging Congo Kong. World title on the line. Keith Lee versus Mick Foley or Keith Lee versus Congo Kong for the title. It's going to be Congo Kong, I'm afraid. So Congo Kong's going to win cleanly. So this is basically Foley doing what he does best, i.e. making somebody look great. I mean, there's loads of examples, but just at the top of my head, Randy Orton at Backlash 2004. Triple H twice, Royal Rumble and No Way Out. And Edge at WrestleMania. So if there's one thing Foley's great at, it's making somebody look good in a weapons match. And that's what I'd want to happen here. So hopefully he'll make Kongo Kong look like a killer. No aftermath. Putting a good match. It's to put Kong over really, but they'll say putting a good match. And that's the Battle of Los Angeles. So good card, I think, if I do say so myself. Then again, I say about my pay-per-view, all my big event cards, because I'm arrogant, maybe. I don't know. Because I'm as delusional as real one is. Right, let's see. Can we get the best show we've ever booked from this? I'm hoping that we can. I think there's a decent chance. I've got high hopes for this tag team match. Let's see. Good. That's perfect. That's who we want to get over. Okay, Real One lost over us, but Keith Lee gained it, so that's absolutely fine. That was a better match than I was expecting, because Real One stats aren't amazing. That's a shame. Could have done without that one, but we'll take Brian Cage gaining over us, so that's good as well. Good match as well. 91%, of course it is. It was a Foley interview. No, a bit disappointed there. I was hoping for better there. I was hoping because of the Outsiders tag chemistry, that would be a better match. But obviously, there's no chemistry from Hogan and Orange Cassidy. And their stats aren't great. Obviously, Hogan certainly isn't. But hey ho, we'll take it. 73% overall, so that's not bad. Still, that's above average for what we want, so that's absolutely fine. What a fantastic segment that was. I wasn't expecting that, but that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Perfect. Yep, that's absolutely fine as well. In fact, that's brilliant as well. Me Yim's now a heel. Heel Yim. Close enough. Oh, it's a meat match. We all love a meat match. Can't believe the crowd reaction wasn't higher, but Keith Lee's not over for some reason. That was better than I was expecting, though. I was hoping it was going to be low 80s, but wasn't expecting low 90s, but I'd snap your hand off for that. So that's perfect. Shame about Foley losing the overness, but Kongo Kong gained overness. So hopefully, at the end of this pay-per-view, people will be absolutely amped to see Keith Lee versus Kongo Kong again for the world title, because we've just had Keith Lee in an absolute banger. He's overcome the odds. He's had 2 great matches, and then we've just seen Kongo Kong annihilate Mick Foley and get over from doing it. So that couldn't have gone much better. I'm absolutely delighted about that, and that's got to be the best show we've ever done. 77% overall. I'm absolutely delighted with that, and that's a great way to end this video. But I'm not quite going to end it just yet. What a great show that was. Wrong page. Yeah, so in this video we've done 2 of the best shows we've done the 2 best shows we've ever done. The Go Home show and then Battle of Los Angeles. So what a great pay-per-view that was. That was awesome. Well done, guys. That was awesome. Clap, 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 clap. Okay. So just before I end the video, we got nearly 6,000 people came to watch that. Your view is Keith Lee and Brian Cage. What the hell? Oh yeah, they're in the yeah, I forgot about that. They're in the brawl thing. Yeah. Didn't think that one through. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's not worry too much about that. You probably should be, mate, after that pay-per-view. Didn't click. Yeah, that is a shame. Mick Foley wants to work with Scott Hall. You know what, Mick? I'll think about it, buddy. It was a one and done for Scott Hall, but you know what? We'll think about it. Okay. We'll come back to that one. Yeah, I didn't think that one through. Oh well. Cool, so hopefully we'll have made money like the last time we did a pay-per-view. Right. We'll find that out in the next video when we move on to the next month. So, as I said at the start of the video, I think I said this, hopefully I did. I know one thing I did say, which I'm going to come back to in a second. So, just before we end this, now normally I just end the day after. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to continue one more day, just to get to the end of the month. And I just want to check. Then I'm just going to check a few things, such as the sponsors. So let's just move on to the next day. For some reason that didn't respond. There we go. we did this time. Right, because now the now this now at the end of the month, and now I've done all the booking that I had planned, I'm gonna go back to one or two bits and bobs that I thought about doing now when we became national. Let's just check the emails first. Right, so Ring of Honor Wrestling's not being renewed. That's interesting. Right, right, okay, here we go. I'll come back to that. We'll come back to that email in a second. 23,000 people turned up for Hell in a Cell compared to 6,000. I mean, I know which one I'd rather have gone to. I don't watch Hell in a Cell. I want to watch Mick Foley and Congo Kong. I want to watch Hulk Hogan team with Orange Cassidy. That's what I want. Anyway, yeah. So when you become national, and I may have alluded to this earlier. If I did, I apologise. But when you become national, you sort of have to start doing things a little bit differently. So when you're cool, you can almost do what you want. When you become national, you have to do things a bit differently. Anyway, so we'll start getting these weekly emails battling with Ring of Honor. I'm expecting this to carry on. We may get them with other companies as well, possibly MLW, whoever else became national when we did. But yeah, so you can see here we've got superior star power thanks to Hulk Hogan. They have better workers, and the fancies have been more professional. So two of the three factors in determining how people view the company were better than Ring of Honor. So we may need to look at hiring more talented wrestlers, or I don't know how that's calculated. I don't know if it's just like an average of your talent. So like when the Glory Days members leave, the average quality of our roster will go up in terms of quality of workers. But obviously when Hogan retires and one or two others, we may lose some star power. So anyway, that's something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. So I'm going to look into that before the next video. Right, speaking of which, obviously we're about to move into the next month. Now I like to record everything as I've said a bit earlier, but normally I will do it in the next video. What I may do though for this one, I may do something slightly different. I may skip into the next day before I record the next video, and then do anything that needs to be done, because I'm expecting a lot of emails, or there will be a lot of emails, because there always is at the start of a new month. So rather than you sit and watch me do a lot of the admin work, like renew contracts that may need to be done, which I think there's going to be a lot of because we're getting towards the end of the year, possibly look for new sponsors if they're interested, you know, things like that, deleting all the emails, rather, because it's not particularly good viewing, I may do that before recording the next video, and then just retrospectively say, oh, this is what I've done, like I did at the start of this video with the staff and the obviously I did the production values, but that with the staff, I hired them and then said, well, this is who I've hired. So I'll have a think about that before the next video and decide what I'm going to do. There is one last thing I just want to touch on though, well, two last things. Let's just check the sponsors. Right, so again at the minute, it's the same sponsors as before, so we haven't attracted any better ones. That may change when we get to the next month. It may need a fresh month to reset the interested sponsors. I didn't think it did, but surely to goodness we can get some better sponsors soon. Only 8% public image. That's annoying. Why is that? I'll have to look into that. I'm not quite sure why that is actually. But we're now smaller than MLW, which I could do without, to be honest. Only 10%. Anyway, yeah. So this is all stuff that may need addressing, in terms of hiring better workers and one thing and another. Right, the other thing as well, and again I talked about this. I said I'd come back to it. So I increased the production values to 75%. Now, at the minute, we've got 1 week left on our warfare contract. And to be honest, I think, to be honest with you, when I move on to Monday, that might expire. So at the start of the next, anyway, hopefully we've got one more show left that we can potentially do. So I'm going to try and get on a better network, which feels a bit harsh because VH1 have been absolutely crucial into getting us where we are today. But yeah, I'm gonna send out, because at the minute we can get a higher rating than VH1 can give us. So I'm gonna send a tape, I think, to Paramount. Let's just have a quick look. So if you look at Paramount, we've got the right amount of production now because I've just increased it. We can get the right audience rating, and we're also at roughly the right amount of risk. In fact, we're able to increase our risk because of that, which will give us more options for match types. But I'm not too worried about that. But anyway, we're roughly the right amount of risk, right size, and right production to get on Paramount. So I think I'm going to send out a promo tape to Paramount, but I'm not quite decided yet because there's another I can't remember what it is now, but there's another TV network that I'm thinking of sending one to. Anyway, so I'll come back to that one. Just one last thing I am going to do on camera before we end the video, and that is I'm going to release some wrestlers that I don't want to pay, which I know sounds a bit harsh. So Cedric Alexander. Now I'm surprised about that actually, because we'll come back to that. I thought when you got to National, you couldn't release. If you offered anyone a release, they turned it down. Well, apparently not. So Cedric Alexander, even though he's only $11,000, I only brought Cedric Alexander in to wrestle in Battle of Los Angeles, and he's done that now. So he is going to go. Feels a bit of a waste, this. I feel like I should keep him, but hey ho, he's gone. Right, Kevin Nash, he needs to go because he was here for the. Orange Cassidy to bottle to. I was going to say bottle up then, to tie off the Orange Cassidy feud. And I'm conscious this video is nearly an hour. I am nearly done. Right, I'm going to send him to development, and then I'm going to offer him his release. So now he should be a wrestler. If I ever want to rehire him, which I may do, to be honest with you, I may keep bringing him back every now and again. Yeah, we can now hire him as a wrestler if we wanted to, so that's good. And then the last ones I'm going to release. There's no point releasing Hogan because he's going to retire. There's no point releasing some other people that I can't think of off the top of my head. Rick Steiner because his contract's expiring. I'm just going to release Odinson and Parrow. So Odinson and Parrow were in development. One of them, I can't remember which one it is, needs to come out in development, so I'm going to get rid of both of them. They don't want to accept the release, unsurprisingly. So Odinson and Parrow. That's them gone. Right, let me just quickly check Scott Hall. Staff member, again, random. Right, he won't accept a release. So if I want to release Scott Stein, I'm going to have to pay him to release him. So I might as well keep hold of him because I may do the Foley feud that Foley wants. But we'll come back to that one. If not, I'll decide. Anyway, I'll decide on that off camera. Anyway, this video's gone far too long. Yeah, so that is the end of the video, and that's also the end of September. So if you enjoyed this video, then please like and share the video. You can also leave a comment on the video should you choose to do that. While you're on YouTube, if you head on over to the channel, the commentator, you'll find the rest of the videos in this playlist. So if you want to see how we've got to this point, telling some of the stories that we've told, then please go and check that out. Also, if you don't like wrestling, then why you're watching this video. But if you don't like wrestling, then there are plenty of other videos on the channel that are non-wrestling related. So we've got Pokemon, we've got all, I'm not going to go through it all, we've got all sorts, including Pokemon, which I've already mentioned. If you don't like wrestling though, I've also done a playthrough of WWE Crush Hour, which is wrestling but not wrestling. But anyway, please go and check that out. We'll jump next time, we're going to be moving on to October. As I said, I'll decide between recording what I'm going to show, what I'm not going to show in terms of like doing the quote-unquote admin work and getting to the next month and all the other crazy stuff that needs to be done when you start a new month. But to get to that point, for now, from me, it is sayonara.